time, yeah.
Okay. So, are you recording?
Yeah, I'm going now. So
Okay,
thanks for
okay.
doing this, Barnaby. I have to think like I'm on my show, then it will get me there. Thank you for coming on the show, because without you as a mentor, my bipolar, what can I say? My give back to the world, sharing my story, wouldn't have happened without you giving me encouragement. So yeah, I kind of own that. I owe that brand to you for your help. You know, because you've been working on this for 2 years.
That's very, very kind of you to say that. Well, you have been working together for over 10 years.
Yeah. And I keep saying, if you had to sell a story, I know you'll get 7 digits, not 6 digits anymore. It's gone up to 7 digits.
It's gone up to 7, absolutely. We can sell your story. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's been definitely 2 years in the making, deciding to share my story, because it's been so personal. So you've really given me that courage.
Yeah, and it took us, I think it must have taken us about a year to even get you to think about actually telling the story, didn't it?
So probably 3 years, and then the implementation 2 years.
Yeah.
But I think it's the right time, because if we did it 5 years ago...
Yeah, it would have seemed a bit...
Yeah, the stigma was still quite high.
There might have been stigma, correct, absolutely.
So things happen at the right time.
So, listen. In light of that, let's get this story going, yeah? So tell me, where were you born originally?
I'm London.
You're
Born.
Yeah,
Although I don't drink tea anymore.
London's a big old place.
Yeah.
Which part?
I was born in Chelsea Hospital. Chelsea
Okay.
Hospital, Aquarius, water lover.
Oh, so you're quite a posh bird then, really, aren't you?
Yeah, and do you know the funniest thing? I bloody live like North Kensington. I'm literally a stone's throw from Kensington Palace. That's where I got on my scooter. Yeah.
Oh, God, fantastic. So,
That shows bipolar doesn't discriminate, or there's no social class. You can get it wherever you live, innit?
wherever you go, wherever you live, absolutely. So okay, so you were born in Chelsea, right? Okay, is that where you grew up originally?
No, I grew up in South London, a place called Battersea.
Oh, I know
That's
Battersea.
totally not as it is now. So anybody that hears Battersea, they think another glamorous place, but
Yeah.
it went through regeneration.
It did,
So when
yeah.
I lived there, it was lots of council flats. They are still there. A lot of them are privately owned now. Very urbanised. When we had a French market, we just didn't know what happened to the old market.
Right, okay. And there was just all this strange food suddenly.
Yeah, there was all these cafes and yummy mummies coming out for breakfast at 8, and it was so new to us because it was a very cultured area. So it felt overnight, all these coffee shops kept appearing.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's happened throughout London, hasn't it? I think the people who'd set up cultures there have got moved out. I know I've seen it in Hoxton and Shoreditch.
Absolutely. And I remember when my grandparents came to this country from Guyana, one of the first houses they bought was in Battersea opposite the park.
Right, so
at the time, if off the top of my head, I remember them saying it cost something like 70,000, and now that house is worth something like about 2 million. It's actually not far from where Gordon Ramsay lives.
Okay, yeah. And I played in a football team in Battersea Park for about 10 years, so I know Battersea Park reasonably well.
Yes.
So okay. So where did you go to school then?
I went to a Catholic school.
Okay.
The interesting thing about my school, Charlie Chaplin also used to live there. Charlie Chaplin and Charlie Chaplin's friend Dan Leno.
What, they used to live in the school?
Yeah, it was part... I can't remember the history, but Dan Leno, who's Charlie Chaplin's friend, used to live there, and so Charlie Chaplin used to visit there.
Right.
And so the school had a very old architecture and very new. So the old part was like the house, and it had that combination as well, and a lot of history because it was a Catholic school with lots of nuns running around. Yeah.
Okay. So you went to a bipolar school then? In the sense it was an old house with Charlie Chaplin. And were you allowed to speak or anything, or did you just have to mime everything?
No, we could speak. But I actually used to get into a lot of trouble in school. And it's actually ironic that I became a speaker.
Right.
Because I failed my GCSE English.
Right.
I wasn't good at English. No matter how they tried, I wasn't good at English. So my school life was just totally weird.
Right, okay.
And what I don't agree with what they do now is they never really look at what you're good at. They focus on what you're not good at.
Well,
so
they have standards they have to reach across for everybody.
Absolutely. So when I was in school and failing my English, it was almost seen as though, well, how are you going to get on? You're not going to do very well.
Yes.
And then the funniest thing was, what I excelled at was the business studies, which was my highest grade, actually. And I remember I had a business idea. I had a picture framing business that I started as part of my assignments called Frames and Faces.
What was it? How old were you then?
I was 11.
Okay.
Yeah, 11.
Cool.
And I actually knew this was going to be really good, actually. Like, the advertising campaign was really good. I can remember the actual logo, frame your pictures with frames and faces. You know, they will make you smile. And what I do remember that they do have now in schools and colleges and uni that I'm so happy about, I really expressed how much I thought this business would be a good idea. But they didn't excel or push you for what you were good at. And I always said to them in school, and they didn't like me so much because I was really opinionated and I would say my ideas. And again, when you say your ideas, if it sounds convoluted, they think, oh, sit down, you're talking too much. But I said, wouldn't it be good? Can't we just have like a little department? And if I wanted to start a business, I could get help for it. So it's so nice to see years later, you know, colleges and unis have that entrepreneurship department that you can turn the idea and even have pictures like Dragon's Den. So
how do you feel about that? That you're in a system which is not listening to you, it's not really acknowledging you, it's putting you down. How does that make you feel?
It made me feel bad because I couldn't express myself to be heard.
Right.
Now that I'm older, I totally know how creative I am and entrepreneurial. So English and reading books, I would never get it. And I feel frustrated that they never pushed me to excel my creativity, excel my entrepreneurship. It was really difficult that I was just focused on my English is not good, you know, keep telling my mum, my family, my English is not good. And it makes you feel, well, you may not amount to anything because they keep telling you what you're not good at, and not elevating you on what you are good at.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense to me. And certainly my experience of working with you over the last 10 years has been trying to find what you're good at and make you do more of that.
Absolutely.
And deal with what you're not so good at. Yeah.
And so what I have done, and when I am a speaker, and for example through networking, I always talk about, okay, let's identify what we're not good at, but we're doing this because it highlights what you are good at. So when we do this exercise, it's nowhere negative. We're just going to get it out the way and we're going to leave it.
Yeah.
And then we use what I always say, and any client I work with or speaking engagement, your strengths will always outweigh. And also, I try to use example in my mindset, in my business, that the things I'm not good at, I'm not going to bother myself, feel bad. Let's hire in what you're not good at and concentrate at what you're really good at. And I think that's why I excelled as a speaker. And I wish those nuns saw me, because it's almost a bit like bipolar. When you're not good at something, you focus on what you are good at. So when I've realised, okay, I may not be good at writing stories, writing, but I'm actually really good verbally. So I practiced the hell out of it. I practiced.
So tell me, I mean, do you think communication then, so you have a slightly different view of what communication is?
Absolutely. And I've since learnt about my condition to know myself. And I always say my bipolar. So Sue, John, Harry, they should say my bipolar, my mental health, because everybody's different. So I know my communication is, if I'm hanging out with my mates and I'm having a communication and we're just talking,
yes,
even then my communication is not good, because it's so social. I don't even say the right words. If I'm talking with my family, I don't even say the right words. I get them mixed up, and my grandmother will always correct me. It's not ain't, it's are, or I don't even know the correct things. However, my bipolar, my communication is like the Beyonce moment. This is the only way I can describe it, and I'm very good at describing things with analogy. I'm very good at describing things as an analogy. I'll come back to that. Then I'll come back.
Analogy.
Yeah. So when my communication switches, a bit like Wonder Woman or Superman when he goes into the phone booth. The moment I get on stage as a speaker, be it networking or a mental health speaker, I speak like the Queen's English. I announce all my words. My grammar is super. Woo, I'm like a grammar teacher. I'm better than those nuns, I'm telling you. You know, my communication comes out, and that's the bipolar in me that triggers my intelligence. And what it does, it's actually got nothing to do with communication. It triggers the intelligence to work and just go through my mouth. So sometimes what I do to overcome my weaknesses, I'll transcribe my speaking engagements because they're perfect English.
Yeah, okay, understood. Okay, so we got you at 11, and you're knocking out these frames and everything. So and you've been told by the school that your English isn't very strong. You obviously got through to GCSEs and everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah? And how did you manage that then, in the face of?
So it's really weird how it happened. The moment I took GCSE English and I mean GCSE Business Studies, and I understood it, and I kept getting high grades. From that moment, I knew I'm going to have a career and business in business studies. That was a given, so that was no problem.
So how old were you then?
I was literally, when did you do GCSEs? I think 11.
Well, 16, isn't it?
11, and then you do the exams at 16.
Start 11 and then you
so I was set for life. Yeah, so I literally was set for life. I knew I would do a career in business studies. However, my mindset also told me to have a plan B, and my plan B was maths and a bit of languages. So
it's a good thing we didn't need plan B then, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm still good with a bit of maths though. So yes, literally I focused on the maths as a plan B, and a little bit of the plan C would be the languages. So maths, yes.
Okay, cool. So you're 13, 14, 15, somewhere around there. You're thinking business is for me. did that mean any more than that? Because obviously you did your GCSEs. You did A levels then? Did you?
Yes. It's so weird because when I did my GCSE, we were very clear on the different types of business studies. So you had strategy, you had marketing, you had... What other sides of business studies?
Operations, was there operations?
Yeah, operations. And I love the marketing.
Right, okay.
So when I didn't do A levels, I chose not to do A levels.
Okay.
Because I knew I wanted a career and a business later on in business studies. So I literally chose to do an equivalent, which was BTEC.
A BTEC,
and I did a BTEC in business.
Right, okay.
And I got an advance, which I was totally happy with, you know.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I don't know the grading.
Yeah, it was a really great grade. I think only 4 people in the whole year got advanced.
And when did you do that?
That was when... between the age of 16 and 18. I did that in Merton College, South London. Okay. And halfway through, I knew I wanted to specialise in marketing.
Yeah.
And to be honest, my teacher, who I got on so well with at BTEC, he said to me, Bella, and I'll never forget this, and if I ever get an opportunity when I'm doing speaking engagements, I always tell this to entrepreneurs: if you're going to do anything in business or set up a business, specialise. Try not to be jack of all trades. Know a bit of stuff, but specialise. So I said, well, I like marketing. He said, specialise in that. So after making sure I got business studies only, through age 16 to 18. At age 18, when I went to university, I seeked high and low to get the degree title BA in marketing. And at that...
So you used your BTEC to get into university, is that right?
Absolutely, yes.
So that was absolutely an equivalent of A levels then?
Yeah, it's equivalent to A level.
Oh, okay. So, because They've delayed the BTEC results, haven't they?
Yeah, and I don't know if a lot of people know about BTEC, but BTEC actually is a lot more work than the A level. And I think for me, I was better suited for BTEC. And you have to be somebody who's a bit more... You've got to love the subject because it's a lot of work. So the way that it's different to A level, you're literally doing an assignment almost every 3 weeks, which contributes to your end result.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so if I don't know, I know there's a lot going on at the moment, but had something gone wrong with the results, they would have literally marked me. They would have had no choice. All the assessments and coursework would have contributed to my grade.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm sure it probably would have done anyway, wouldn't it? I think, you know.
Oh, yeah, it did. Oh, yeah. Every 3 weeks contributed to my grade. And I do think one of the reasons I excelled in it is I was so highly passionate about business studies. I would really just work hard at it and I would study a lot. So I love the assignment.
Okay. So you're 16 to 18. Is there any sense then you've got any mental health issues going on?
Oh, God, yes.
Oh, right, okay.
Oh, yeah, I knew I had problems. I didn't know what it was called, but I knew I had problems for definitely the age of 16 because I had a lot of issues with friends, but definitely from the age of 5, 6, being in the school playground because nobody wanted to be my friend.
Right, okay. Do you know why?
Absolutely. My character, and because I'm an only child, I'm quite independent, so I don't need to go along with people. Or I've got to buy this skirt from the high street or the shopping mall. Oh, Sue, Josephine, can you come with me? I'll just go. Yeah. So in school, from the age of 5, I didn't have a lot of friends because I wouldn't go with the crowd. If everybody said, oh, we're all doing this, we're skipping like this, and I might be playing with the ball, they'll be like, you've got to skip with us to be with us. And I would turn around and say, well, no, I'd like to just skip with the ball. No, this is the in thing, skipping. No. And I'll be like, no. Okay. So a lot of people didn't like me.
Right, okay.
Because I didn't mind not, if you think I'm different and I've got to be with you and you think I'm different, I wouldn't mind. I'll say, okay, well, maybe I am different. Whereas later, as I got on in life, I realised, I don't know if they call that self-esteem, or I hear a lot of kids, which is difficult, if they're not with the in crowd or the Instagram, they feel all the others are doing it, FOMA, I think it's called, they feel bad. For some reason with my bipolar, I don't have that gene. If everybody's wearing trousers and that's the in thing, I'll wear a skirt because I would like to, so I don't feel that I'm not part of the group. So that did affect friendship and stuff. And
okay, and so you know, you kind of, you're not entirely clear when you're 5 or 6, but by the time you're 16 to 18, there's boys, there's all sorts of things going on there. How did you?
It continued. It continued, and it affected my mental health, as I know now, when I was 16. Yeah. Because at 16 I never had a lot of friends, and then I'm seeing other people with friends.
Yeah.
Then I realised, what is friends? Oh, that's your friend. That's your friend. Oh, yeah. Hold on. Oh, I don't have any friends. And it hit me more. And I did a podcast about this when it was my 21st birthday.
Yeah.
Because I kept hearing 21 is the big year. I don't know what happened, or. But this is what
you're allowed to do everything.
I don't know. I'm going by what people say. To me, it was just another year. So, and this is a media and people telling you. I could have just carried on, but because I'm hearing 21, and then you're supposed to have this big 21st birthday.
Yeah.
So because I'm hearing this is what other people did, what did I say then? Right, I'm having this 21st birthday.
I need some friends first. Yeah, I'm going to gather some up. Are you? You're going to gather some friends.
This is so crazy. Imagine my birthday was on the Friday, and then I realised you're supposed to have this party, and I figured it out on the Monday. So then I decided to have this party, and I don't know who I managed to ask. I can't remember. So
this is your first ever networking event, then, isn't it?
No, this is my party for being 21.
Yeah, it's your first ever networking event, isn't it?
Not really.
You're inviting loads of people who probably don't know each other half the time.
No, my first networking event was a bit better than that.
No,
yeah.
How many people turned up at your 21st?
Well, this was the thing. By Friday, I was so hyped up, and I got everything ready. I bought all these things, got the music. I sat there, I got dressed up. One person turned up.
Oh, okay, that's not such a good event. No, I can see that. Yeah, one person.
I was crying. I don't know when I stopped crying.
Oh dear, that's sad.
I'm laughing now at the time. Oh, and then I really realised I've got a real issue with friends. Like, I don't have friends. Like,
well, I mean, for me, it's a very clear path. You see, why you've gone into networking, because.
And do you know what's so funny now, being a networking guru? And I thought about this, not in a bad way. I thought about this, how life is so funny, you can't always have your path is set. I thought to myself, if I died tomorrow, and they did do an announcement, the networking gurus died, could you imagine the amount of people at my funeral? Because I know so many people now. I go to an event, half the people know. I'm always trying to duck and dive wherever I go. And I thought, could you imagine the amount? It wouldn't fit in the church. And I thought, isn't that funny? The amount of people I know now, and even some of my colleagues in networking who are my inner gem, because I have an inner and outer, it's that big, that I've created friendships as well now. And genuine friendships, they'll phone up how you are, not just for business. And I thought, isn't life funny? I almost had a life with no friends. Now I've got so many.
Yeah, but do you see a link between the fact that you kind of you've found a way of getting friends, but using networking as the
absolutely
to compensate for the early years.
Absolutely, and so many people. It's so weird. Me giving my story of mental health, because all my years as a networking guru for 12 years, when you have a talent and skill, back to Beyonce, if you ask her, how do you perform on stage, how do you do it? And I've heard her in interviews, she says she can't explain it. So many people of all the 12 years have asked, how do you do that in a network? How do you approach people? How do you remember? How have you built how have you gone to New York? How have you done this as a network? And I say to them, I just don't know. And I remember you as my mentor, you used to keep saying to me, stop saying that, because you've got a skill. So what I realised, my bipolar's really helped. So it's opposites attract. When I'm at home, I'm so quiet. Obviously, I don't have a lot of friends coming around. I do have friends now, a few. So all the things, this is going back almost to school, all the things I'm not good at in my personal life, I'm actually quite quiet and an introvert at home. I'm absolutely, my phone doesn't ring. When Monday hits 9, I'm busy on the phone. So what it is, my ability in my personal life with friendships, and I'm socially inactive and introvert, but in networking I come alive. I walk in the room. So many people, I never understood when they said you make the room alive when you walk in, you're present, and maybe my height as well, and the way you can go up to a crowd and talk, how do you do that? And I took it for granted, and then in the end, I wrote training courses and stuff and do my speaker stuff to teach people. So all the things I'm not good at in my personal life and where my mental health holds me back, as a networking guru and trains me, I can excel. It's like opening a packet of crisps for me.
Yeah, no, that makes fantastic. I mean, it makes sense to me, listening to your story, why you might be like that, because I'm very similar, of course, which I know is in the sense that I don't have any friends, and I'm very family focused, and I have a few people that are that I work with a lot, but actually I don't have any friends. So and I'm okay with that. It's not
absolutely.
Not like I don't see it as a problem. I'm okay with it. And I'm an only child. My father's another child. Very similar sort of story. So we got you. You've come out of BTEC, and you've gone to university. So where did you go to university?
Greenwich. It was the only university in London that had the title BA Marketing, and by hook or crook, I was only going to do that degree title.
Okay. And how long was that? It was 3 years.
4 years. It was one of those sandwich courses back in the day. So you did 3 years and then a year.
You're in the industry.
Yeah.
And so where did you do your year in industry? Where did you work?
I did it in telecoms because.
Okay. Who for?
I don't want to say the brand name, because
why not?
There's a few things about the company I didn't agree with. I raised my opinion, they did it, and then they didn't really like me. The reason, I'll give an example, is, and this is where I saw my networking skills.
Yeah.
And I think maybe there was a little bit of discrimination. So I'll give an example. We had an away day, when they take you to these hotels.
Yeah.
And I'm very studious and very academic. So if you're telling me to do work, I just switch off and do it. That's just, and an only child. And, that's how I work. So when I do my work, I do it. But at work as well, when it comes to socialising, I do know how to switch on. And that was the networking, the Beyonce. So we had this away day. The first day, the manager called me into the office. In summary, she said, basically, in her own words, she didn't like the way I knew a lot of people outside of our department, because I specialised in direct and database marketing. She didn't like that. How do I know so-and-so that works in the analytical department? How do I do that? And then also there was, they trying to do team building, so they have music. So my social skills switches on because it's work, and that was my networking that I didn't know. So I know how to interact. We were dancing to Michael Jackson, and that's me networking because, hey, I've got to work with you. Yeah. So they were surprised. How did they? And they like you. They didn't like that. Then the other thing they didn't like was on the away day at the Q&A, I'm sure I got my logic correct, the chief executive, CEO, said, now we'll open the floor for questions. Now, maybe the only thing I might have done wrong, that my tactic is wrong, and I teach people this in networking, anytime you have a Q&A, wait to the end and be the last person to ask the question in case your question comes up so you can hear and formulate your question. So I waited till everyone, they said, anybody else? I raised my hand. So they were doing this new telecoms thing, which was ridiculous. It lost them like lots of money afterwards. So I said, I'm identifying maybe a little bit of a flaw with your SWOT, SWOT analysis. Right. I said to the chief executive, how are you going to use your strengths to overcome your weaknesses? Because there's been quite a lot of economic threats, which is the threats. Yeah. Then there was silence in the room. And then he said,
I can understand that, yeah.
Have I done something wrong? Then he said, I think I'll direct that question to the operations operations director. And then anyway, the next day, that was something that my senior manager brought up to me. She said to me, you are a direct and database executive. Yeah. And she said in her own, how the hell did you manage to think of a question and you're just at this level?
Oh, I see. Okay. Right, okay. Yeah, so you've always been a disruptor. What gave you the confidence to go? Because I would be petrified to ask a question that was in the face.
That's the networking in me. Okay. That is the networking in me. And that's the networking in me. When we've had that conversation, when I told you I went to the Royal Judge, I've forgotten the name, in the Strand. I'll have to, Bella, come back to find the name of the judge. The Royal Judge Court of Justice in the Strand. The judge. Yeah.
The Old Bailey, you mean?
No, not the Old Bailey. When there's a court case and then they have to take it to the biggest Royal Court of Justice in the Strand. Yeah, okay. Yeah. After I went to a networking event there, and remember I said to you, I was networking with the judges for the sister side of my business for intellectual property. Yeah. And I'm not going to go anywhere unless I know my information and knowledge, because that's not how I do business. Yeah. And I'm talking to the judge, the host, and the keynote speaker. Yeah. And he didn't want to speak to me. Right, okay. And he said, "What are you doing here?" And for me, I have no fear. I don't know. And I do speak to a lot of people to try and figure out. I just have something in me. I don't have any fear. Just because you're a judge or you're bigger, bolder than me, because he had his cape on, it's quite a nice outfit. You could see him from the other side of the room. It was really nice, But that because you look so regal, it doesn't mean you're any different than me. You've just got a different job title, that's all. So when I spoke to him, and I wasn't rude or anything, I was being a networking guru. He said he didn't want to talk to me. What am I doing here? And he was really rude to me and said other things to me, which I'm not going to repeat. Because when I came and spoke to you, and it wasn't even a bother to me, I spoke to you weeks after it, and then you said to me, "Oh, Bella, that's discrimination, that's almost racism." And you said, "Well, oh my God, how did you manage to get the confidence to speak to the judge? I can do it." But for me, I'm a determined person. I had reasons to go to that networking event, to network, to build my knowledge, grow my business. So I'll do whatever it takes. So I never think of any fear. I look at the end result.
Do you think that's got anything to do with the bipolar?
Absolutely.
You're able to disconnect in some parts of your life
absolutely.
emotionally, or you lose. I mean, people might make a case that there's emotional intelligence lacking there, or something.
Absolutely, like that. Absolutely. It's two things. In business, I don't have any emotions. So I don't see the if, but, how, I'm going to be scared. No.
No. Okay.
I see the end result. For example, my sister business for intellectual property, as a networking consultant, it took me 5 years, but I saw the end result. This is a market. I don't care how it's going to, just do it.
Yeah.
That's that side, and that's maybe the academic side of me, not giving up. Then maybe the bipolar, the chemicals in my brain, we are very high risk takers.
Right.
High risk. So I do know, for example, when you have bipolar and you have a manic, the high risk can be dangerous.
Yeah.
But I know how to manage my high risk. So it's a bit like the Kanye West. I'm not going to go and run for president. I use that side of the bipolar for other good stuff. So
actually, you're not necessarily high risk. You're just not risk averse because you don't recognise risk.
That's
so you
the
just
word.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the word. Whereas, say for example, my thought process is, I need to educate myself more intellectual property for my networking. I need to meet the right people. I need to build a network, a community. I need to do A, B and C. So when looking at the A, B and C, I wouldn't then rationalise it. Oh, that's a bit risky. Who? I would just go and do it. So my brain never would be able to tell me that might be a problem. That might be risky.
Right. Okay. So I get that. So you're okay. So I understand that. So when something not so nice happens to you, you're able to just box that off and just put that down to an
only
experience
in business.
Mainly
more in business and networking, and I can do that very quickly. The only time it comes into effect is I know my bipolar affects me, say, personally, and emotions as me. However, this is how we can flip it, and the listeners can understand. I don't get those risk alerts with friendship or being around people. So this is where I can be a social destruction or social...
Right, yeah, I get that.
Because I might say the wrong thing that 101 people would never say. I wouldn't know how to create a friendship relationship or do the right things within friendship. And I'm doing all the things that are risque because my brain doesn't tell me that's not how you're supposed to perform as a friend, whereas other people might have that chemical and they're okay. That's why they got thousands of friends. So it's really weird.
Okay, I get that. Okay, so you did the sandwich course. You survived. Did you stay with the same telecoms company the whole year then, or did you?
No, I had a plan.
Right. Okay, you had a plan to get boosted out quickly.
Yeah, my plan was I was getting good at marketing, and I never wanted to do branding. Funny enough, I never wanted to do advertising. I wanted to use my marketing for direct and database marketing. So the reason that I went to the telecoms and had a very good job as a career, career job, I only wanted to do it for a fraction of a time because I knew I would start my own business. So I did that as a safety net and another plan C in case something happened. But my plan was never to although I did very well and I could have been promoted and I learnt telecoms. I could set up a telecoms.
But the telecoms was your sandwich year though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So you went back to university and finished a degree?
Yeah, and then went into telecoms.
Oh, and then you went into telecoms after that?
Yeah.
With the same company or with a different company?
No, a different company.
Can you say who that was?
No, don't want to. I just don't want nothing to do with telecoms. But what I will say is, partway through, because I always used to have more than one job, partway through, not to confuse anything, I did events, which I loved and helped my networking because I used to organise networking events. So events, I'm happy to say I worked for the National Trust, and they would be happy to say I worked there because I did a lot for them. And that again also brought out my networking skills because I worked closely with the chief executive. I was in and out of her office and boardroom like there was nobody's business.
So you were doing this at the same time as working in the telecoms, so you were doing that as a voluntary job?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So when was the point where you actually thought, actually, do you know what? I am good at this networking thing. At what point did you?
It was by mistake. I was never supposed to have a networking job. I didn't even know what networking was. I started my business because I was entrepreneurial. I didn't know what even entrepreneurial was. But my first business, I was an image consultant, and it was in the heart of the recession.
Yeah.
And I did all I could. Exhausted all my own internal marketing, no budget. And then I found out networking. I kept hearing about it. And the only reason I went to a networking event, this was 3 months after I kept hearing about it. This was now this was 2008, 2009, the recession. The only reason I went to my first networking event is because it was at the Oxo Tower.
Right, okay.
And this feels like years ago. Those are the times I was in really nice bars, hanging out, you know.
Well, if you're in the beauty world, you would be.
Yeah, I was, thinking I was it. So, because I knew it's comfortable, and the number one goal I had was branding and my name. By that time, I had really built my branding skills because I had no money for my business, but I was good at branding marketing. And I just wanted people to remember my name. That was my goal. So I went to the networking event. Then literally an hour and a half, this guy, Callum Morris, and I owe my whole networking career to him, tapped me on my shoulder and he said, "You're good at this, aren't you?" And I looked to my left, looked to my right. I was wondering who he's talking to. I said, "Like, you're talking to me?" Like, film. He goes, "Yeah, you're really good at this." I said, "Oh." And we still talk to this day. He's in my inner circle. And literally, again, no thought of any risk. I said, I could turn this into something. And this is no lie and no joke. Since 2008, 2009, I literally went to a networking event day after day, sometimes 3 times a day, sick, even with my mental health, trying to grow my business. And then that's literally how I turned into a networking guru and a networking speaker, just from that guy tapping my shoulder.
So did you actually ever sit down and plan your career?
No, it was an emergent strategy.
It just kept evolving.
It was an emergent strategy. The time I started to plan was this guy called Barnaby Winter.
Oh, God.
And he taught me about sales, not sales, but selling, cash flow, king. If you don't have money in your business, and the day when he said to me, "What's your day rate? How much do you charge?"
I remember that.
Do you remember that day?
I think that was in the restaurant in Northumberland Avenue, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, Trafalgar, another nice place.
That's right. Yeah.
Do you know what's so funny? I used to be in all these luxurious places and I had no money. I don't know how this happened. Probably again my nose.
I can tell you.
I was in so much high, looking like $1 million.
I can show you where your money was. I can assure you.
And I think that was 5 years or 4 years into my business, and then I realised I can turn the talent, passion into a business model, and that's when I started to take it seriously. And I thought, this is a business, this is a company. And then that's when I decided I can grow the business in New York. And I went to New York and researched. I did a research of my own, surveying and doing a research with about 15 American businesses on how they network, how they get sales, and compared it to London. And actually wrote a paper on it with my no English. And it got published.
I mean, I think it's pretty amazing the fact that you managed to set up a network with New York and in London with IP lawyers.
Can I just add something? Where are the nuns? Let me find the nuns. Because I became a networking columnist. I used to write my own networking column articles every week for a newspaper that was printed in 30 countries. Where are the nuns? Let's tell the
Let's tell the nuns.
That's what I say to young people and everyone, never give up.
To be fair, they're in 30 countries that weren't the United Kingdom, so therefore nobody realised your English wasn't any good.
No, it wasn't English. They had an English version.
I'm joking.
Oh, Barnaby. I went hard for that.
So is the setting up the legal link between New York and is that your biggest achievement to date, or what do you think is your biggest achievement? What's your biggest achievement to date?
No, not at all. And
okay,
people might think it's big. How did you do? My biggest achievement is setting up a profitable small business.
Right.
Because you mentioned this to me. There is a big difference. And one of the things as well, because I'm not about labels, and maybe that's why the judge thing didn't... Labels, who you are, that doesn't mean nothing to me. It's the outcome. So I was never about, I'm a business person, I'm in the city. There's a big difference running a business and owning a business and having a profitable business. Yeah. And I think the moment I realise cash is king...
Yeah.
What's your day rate? How many customers do you need to make a sale? How long does it take you? Does it take you 2 weeks to get another customer? How much is your marketing? When I really realised how do you get a customer from A to B and why it's so important, and not just for today. Don't jump up because you've got a client and go down to the pub to celebrate. Think about the next client, and that is when that's my biggest achievement.
Okay.
And then I'll just say, second to that, my biggest achievement is all the writing I've done, because I haven't, and I need to sometimes sit down and congratulate myself. I've done other writing since being that columnist. My writing that I have been able to do.
And get published and all that stuff.
Because I've even been like a co-author for a book.
I get the one achievement. So the one achievement is because the school system told you you'd never be any good at it. So I get that, and actually, I have a very similar story. When I became the youngest MD of a top 200 advertising agency, the lady I worked for before going to that she said, it's very exciting for you. She said, but I don't know how you're going to do it because you're no good at new business. And I'm probably one of the best in the country in new business, and getting people to come and work with me all of the time. And I've never been short of work since that day. And it's funny how something that somebody you kind of respect says something, and you just go, well, I just don't agree with that. And then you spend almost the rest of your life proving them wrong, even though they don't really care, probably wouldn't even remember saying it, most of them. But, so it's interesting. And I've watched it in my own children. It's really critical that people are very mindful of what they say at a particular time in the context, particularly in the school system, because it can shape a mind for a whole lifetime. And in your case, because you have this underlying bipolar, I assume you've had bipolar all your life, effectively.
Yeah.
Is it a lifetime condition?
Yeah. So when I speak to my psychologist and my psychiatrist, it's been a condition I've had probably since birth.
Right.
And I would like to let others understand it's a chemical imbalance.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do to cure it. It's almost like a cancer, unfortunately. It's with me long term. I have to take medication. And there's nothing I can do about it.
Okay, so does the medication... I mean, if it's a chemical imbalance, can they not balance the chemicals so that actually it kind of eradicates it? Or tell me a bit about that.
So what some people don't understand is it's an illness that I take medication daily for.
Yeah.
The medication will help to balance it.
Yeah.
But it does not mean it will prevent and eradicate episodes.
Right,
so I will have episodes when I become unwell, because those are the symptoms. The medications can never stop it. I mean, if there was that powerful medication, I'll be good. You know, I'll be in every country. Like, that would be fantastic. But unfortunately, the illness is so complicated, and I guess science, we have to understand as well, because I did a level 2 on mental health awareness as a course.
Yeah.
If you go back to the history of mental health and the NHS, they have only recently started to get the right medication, because they didn't really treat patients, so they didn't have the medication, so they're still learning. So it's a bit delayed, if you can understand, with medication. So it gets supported with other stuff like therapy or CBT.
So this is the Britney Spears thing you
absolutely
told me.
There's no medication that's strong enough to stop everything, and episodes, and that you still can get depressed, because sometimes that used to beat me up. I'm like, I'm doing everything right, I'm having my 7 hours sleep, I'm drinking vegetables, I'm getting my protein, why do I still feel ill? And unfortunately that's the illness, because if we look back, I don't know, the 18th century, you know, the NHS and other countries, they may have put them in a madhouse, as they called it, and didn't treat them or research. It's only now hospitals and universities are starting to learn mental health, and then build the right medication to help. So I guess medically and through pharmacy, they're still on that journey.
Okay, cool. Okay, so when you're kind of a bit up against it, when you've got a challenge in front of you, how do you face those challenges? You talk about doing a lot of research, you do a lot of analysis, you become a kind of subject matter expert. What else do you do when you're facing particular challenges? So you make these decisions to do these crazy things like create up an IP network in New York and whatever. Yeah.
So in my case, and I would like to positively share with others, it's so important to manage and understand your mental illness for yourself. I've really learned me. So one of the things that is a strength and a weakness is my creativity, which can also make me ill. So naturally, being an only child, I'm very imaginative, I'm very creative, and sometimes I still have that little girl in me. So when I'm being Bella the networking guru, Bella the entrepreneur, trying to find clients, grow my business, I'm very creative in how I do that, and I can sometimes do it quite easily, like, okay, great, I'm great at intellectual property, let's build a sister company, no problem, great, I need to go to New York, do that. So because I can creatively use those skills to do it, a normal person can plod along, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, do their work. In my case, it takes such a lot of brain activity. So the only way I can describe it, it's like I work like I'm training for the Olympics.
Right, okay.
And sometimes I can and can't control that, because my creative mind works 200 miles per hour.
Yeah.
And you can then imagine the effects of that. I have to make sure I take regular breaks, because I'll wear my brain out. And anybody running a business, you need your brain. Everything we do, we need our brain. And what some people don't understand, a mental illness is mental, which means your brain, it's mental. So if I'm doing my work normally, like how every other person does their work, I tend to be doing my work 200% more, because that's just the way my brain works. So then I tire my brain out, and that can affect my bipolar, and then I can become a bit ill.
Right.
And then unfortunately, like other people, they'll be like, okay, Wednesday, we did this strategy, we did this marketing, we got this new client. What do? 11, 12 o'clock, go to bed. Their hot milk or whatever. Then the next day they're refreshed.
Yeah.
Whereas in my case, with my condition, it doesn't quite work like that.
Okay.
I might have to have a week off to recharge.
Right. Okay.
my brain.
Right, okay.
Even, and this is not even a joke, from a day's activity, because my brain works so hard.
Like, can you not slow your brain down? Can you not, have you not learned to slow down and do
because
spurts
because sometimes during that process it might be experience a bit of manic, because bipolar, the definition is you have a manic episode and depression. Yeah. So manic makes you energetic, it boosts your creativity, it makes you feel like you can do stuff. And in my case, I use it for my advantage. Okay, I need to get this client, let me research to get a yes, or I need to do this marketing or branding, or this website research, or I'm having this meeting, you know. So normal people, they can function okay. In my case, we're so high level function, and I become really energetic. So it's, as I said, it's almost like training for the Olympics. And it's very hard to say, well, can't you slow your brain down?
Yeah.
I wish somebody could show me how. It's not physical. You can't say, I need to run for the bus, let me slow down, instead of I'll slip or fall over. It's very hard. So sometimes I'm still learning, and in terms of slowing my brain down, there may be things I might do that will totally switch my brain. For example, I love watching documentaries. So maybe what I might do is say, okay, I'm going to have a half day and I'll watch a documentary, because it really relaxes my brain. Or I love watching biographies about people, or genealogy, something like that. Or
and this relaxes your brain.
Absolutely. And then where I mentioned
those exhausting to
absolutely watch, and then the other thing that I said to you about creativity, which can be my friend and my enemy, it's almost like the enemy that might make you money that will tire you out, but then it can become my friend, because people who have bipolar, we are highly creative. For example, Kanye West, I mean, on the outside it might look like he's doing crazy things being a president, but if you just judge him on who he is, he's mad. But if you look at Kanye West and his catalogue of work, he's very creative. If you see him in the studio, he's amazing. And like Van Gogh, if you look at Van Gogh, had a mental illness. People don't know that. We're highly creative. So then I try to use creativity to be my friend.
So you use business as your manic outlet, for want of a better phrase.
Sometimes, yes.
Do you use anything else for your manic outlet?
No, I stay at home. The most I'll ever do manic, because I don't want to get myself into trouble, is I'll just tidy up my whole house.
Right, okay.
And just go to bed. I won't leave my home.
So it's one of the ways of facing the challenges is to recognise
you have
that
to.
point and then go and do something that's important.
No, when I'm manic, I have been able to train myself. Don't do anything important. Try not to talk to anyone to make any important decision. Right, and to maybe balance myself off. This is where I said creativity can be my friend. I've developed now that I've got this talent for balloons decoration. So I sit there and play with balloons and make a decoration. So if you walk into my house, you think it's a wedding.
Right, okay. So this is kind of it's sort of more a mundane creative outlet for that moment, then, is it? Yeah.
And this is where let me say this one point where, as somebody bipolar, you can excel. So me doing balloons, decorations, I over excel it, and I can sit there for hours, and I'm so relaxed.
Yeah.
And as I said, another person come in, they'll see these balloons, and on the video, guys, I'll put the pictures. If you see these balloons, it looks beautiful. It looks like an event. It's wonderful.
Okay, so I have this picture of you suddenly drawing the curtains and sitting in the corner of a room, and then opening the curtains, and we can't see you anymore because there's just the room's full of balloons. Is that kind of,
No, it's not that extreme.
No, not that extreme.
But okay. I do I do a lot of balloons, and it's so.
Where have you got like a drawer full of balloons?
Yeah. And actually, this is where you asked me, can you control?
Yes.
I can set up a balloon business tomorrow because 3 I've done now. Balloon decorations for an event. I did my goddaughter's 7th birthday, and the marquee, my friend said, oh, we're having a small party, I've got a marquee for the garden. It's small. When I got to the garden, the marquee was almost 7 foot.
Oh, okay. That's a decent size, isn't it?
It took me half the day. But I don't know how many balloons we went through, and I had a fabulous day. I got my godkids involved.
Do you blow the balloons up, or do you use
I got my godkids to blow it up, and we had a great day. And I was teaching them, and my cousin, my friend, she came in. When she saw the decoration, she said, is there a wedding? It's a birthday, not a wedding. She said it was beautiful. It was. I'll put the pictures up. So
cool.
I've done 3 of those now.
So is there any kind of one thing that you think has really, really contributed to your success so far? Is there any one particular thing that you would pull out of that, or is it a combination of lots of different things?
Oh gosh, it's a bit hard to say, but what I can say is networking has saved my bipolar. It's made me understand me better. It's made me understand my bipolar better. And then my bipolar can then help my networking. So my networking and my business has helped me.
What way has it helped you understand your bipolar better, networking? I mean, it's, we all go networking. Why in particular has it helped you with your bipolar?
The skill of networking, because my networking and the skill of networking, it's an art and a profession and an industry. No different than being a carpenter. So I take it serious. I've really learnt about it and why it can grow businesses and stuff. So the networking has allowed me to be honest and congratulate my skills. It took me a long time to congratulate myself what I'm good at and why I'm good at networking. And at the same time, I congratulate myself what I'm not good at, which might be down to the bipolar, and I'm totally okay with that. And I'll even share it with people. I know I'm okay with it. So that way it's helped me, and I'm okay. And I know now, as the years and the months go on, what I have learned is to do more balance, much more balance.
Right, okay. And that's aligned with your own up and downness.
Absolutely, and it's made me, even together, the way I work in a way that I'm bringing out my strengths and not maybe tiring myself out that if I do need those strengths, I can't bring the strengths. It's allowed me, and this is something I'm going to teach others and in my speaking engagements, is how to work less hours and be more productive.
Right.
And my bipolar's helped me with that, because when I may be manic, and I've got so much energy, you'll find yourself working all these long, crazy hours, and it's not productive. And through our conversations, you've told me about businesses going through their own stress and working all these hours, and they do this as well. So with me, with bipolar, it's almost like I can see it in different angles, and where I've been able to make my life better to fit my bipolar, I'm actually now working less hours than I've done in my whole life, and made more money.
Make more money. And
I never in my life thought that would be possible.
That's a perfect scenario. Okay, so tell me, the complete different subject. So and it's a bit of a strange question, this one, because the question is, you've used me as a mentor now for God knows how long. I think it must be about 10 years, not longer. I'm sure we can check it out at some stage. It must be about 10 years.
We'll need to look it up at some point. definitely.
I think my book had only just come out, which is why I had it with me at the time we met. So, how do you feel about mentoring? Do you mentor anybody else? Do you mentor anybody, or
yes, what I've done over the years, what I have done is I'm very passionate about mentoring young people.
Yeah.
So for my speaker engagement, whenever I go to a university, or I went to O2 to mentor their foundation they have, and I can allocate my time, I always give a bit of time to help other people, that they can phone me or text me or with WhatsApp to help them. And giving back, whenever I work with somebody, depending who it is and the time I have, I do have the elements that I give them, that they can have unlimited consultancy or a bit of mentoring that will help their business and structuring. But I would definitely like to do it more. The reason I don't do it on a long-term basis is I know I wouldn't be a good candidate, and I would want to do it properly. It's just because of my health. I don't know what the next month. So if I do it, I'd do it quite short-term. But I do believe in mentoring, because I know, my God, I need to put you on the stock exchange for my business, or give you shares, because I would not be sitting there if it wasn't for you.
So what, I know I feel strange asking this question, but you know why we're doing this. What is mentoring? How has it made a difference to you? How is my involvement in your life?
I can't talk about other people, because I see things a bit different with mentoring. But if I did a rule book and how I would mentor other people, the first thing is no judgment. No judgment on their flaws, no judgment on their weaknesses, because for me, that's not going to work. If you were very judgmental with me and kept telling me the things I'm not doing wrong, things I'm doing wrong or how I'm doing it, it's not going to work. And there's a way to talk to your mentee. So when you're trying to bring me up on something, if we're working on a project, you have a way that you've learned me as a person, so you know how to communicate to me, so I understand, and where I've gone wrong. Because, well, this is another conversation. We talked about the cash flow, and it's not something that happened overnight. I think it took us almost 2 years for me to get it right. And you have to have somebody that's patient, because what I respect from you, and if you're looking for a mentor, they've got to respect and see the things you're good at and uplift you. And maybe that might be me relating back to school, and I never had that. So because you do always tell me what I'm good at, and then it's balanced with what I'm not good at, I'm okay with that. But what you do, which helps me, is you also have to have a mentor who does tell you what you're good at and reminds you, because there are so many things I do that you really congratulate me on. And I even remember once at a speaking engagement, you said that you learnt something from me, and I just felt so honoured. I was like, did I? And so it helps me be more confident in my work, that I am good at what I do. That's really important. Oh, good. That's really important, because that's what you want to mentor. You want to mentor to really know your weaknesses, to help you build them up. But not all weaknesses may need to be built up, but the ones that are necessary. But also a mentor that recognises what you're good at. And I think that's important, because you know what, you may want to run a business, but you might not be good at it. And you need an honest person to actually tell you, well, you're not really that good at it. And we have very beautiful, honest questions, and you'll let me know. You know, you'll be like, okay, yeah, you're good. Oh, don't do that just yet. And that guidance and direction is needed. And like one other thing that I do want to share, I hope I don't get too teared up. I remember, and you made a good question, at what point did I know I was going to be a networking guru? We had a conversation. I think we had a mentor day, something. I can't remember. And we had definitely worked together. It was about 3 years. And my networking entrepreneurship was going through the roof. I was even in New York at this time. And you always sense my mood. You were a bit like, oh, what's the matter with you? And I was like, oh, Barnaby, I'm working so hard. I've got this project. I just want to be successful. And I was just feeling so down. And then this is you. You are successful. And I was like, oh, what do you mean? And then you kind of reminded me all the things. And you said, like, the talent you have in networking, not a lot of people can do. Like, you've done this, you've done well. And you need that to keep going. Because I think at that point I was about to give up. Yeah, because and I get that. And I think one of the advantages as a mentor is you get to see from the outside. Whereas when you're on the inside, it can be a bit cloudy and you can't really see it. And I get that. And it is. I think that is an important role. So, okay, so from the mentoring, you're getting that external reminder of and
who
the person has to know who you are, because
do you think that's true? So, does it take? I mean, that would take some time to get to know
absolutely,
someone.
yeah.
Do you think, therefore? You should approach mentoring as a kind of a more long-term thing than a short-term.
I was going to say, absolutely, because I think if I went to somebody else and said, I want you to be my mentor, and then we were going through that success thing, they may not have seen that. However, I will say this. I know how I met you and how we grew, and I decided I want you to be my mentor.
Yeah.
I encourage the number one tool you should use to find a mentor is networking.
Okay.
Right? And also, I do not feel coronavirus is happening. How am I going to find a mentor networking? Coronavirus, you can still network. This is actually the best time to network. And my networking is much even better now, and I'm a guru, than before Corona. This time now, to find, I'm going to do an article on a blog, to find a mentor now is better. And I'll give this one point why. There are so many businesses and companies that are booming right now. They're not having a problem in the world. They don't even know Corona's happening. Yeah. And those are the people you need to go to, because they've gone through other coronavirus times to get where they have. And right now they're happy to be mentors. And the reason why networking is important is because when I met you, I was analysing you and asking you networking criteria questions, like the Father Christmas, to make sure.
Yeah. To see if I was real. Yeah. Yeah, because you want a shortcut to whether somebody's genuine or not, or whether they're just,
And networking is the best way. I mean, word of mouth, yes. And it's a relationship as well,
So, I mean, you're my longest mentee by far. And I've got some that go on for years, but not as long as you. Did you ever imagine that we would be sitting here a decade later still working together? Had that been...
I did not know, if you gave me time, how long, no.
Yeah.
But what I did know is, after the years, and I started to understand business better,